Yo, it's the Jolly and Slimm Show. Here, let's go. Time to lock in, turn the volume up. We bring that heat, yeah, we keep it tough. Mindset, hustle, life on the go. You already know it's the Jolly and Slimm Show.
What's up, guys? It is time for episode 3 of the Jolly and Slimm Show. I'm Slim. He's Jolly. Yes, sir. Let's get it started, dude. How was your week? Since the last time we spoke.
Well, pollen's been crazy around here in this. I don't know how it is down there in Florida, but it's
real.
Like it's caked up around here. Like outside in my apartment, like outside my door, it's like underneath the little wall. It has a walkway, so it's not even out in the open. And literally, you can look outside right now, and you can see footprints where people's walking. How thick the pollen is on the ground. And then the other day, I went and washed off my car, and by the next morning, it's caked on.
Covered. Yep.
And it's been killing me, like just headache. I mean, I haven't really had allergies when I was younger, but as I got older, I started, like the past 4 years, I've been having a lot of allergies with this. So that's just
interesting. I had the worst allergies when I was a kid. Like, I couldn't go outside. You know what I mean? It was almost like you need to be in a bubble almost. You know what I mean? Like it was bad. And then somewhere around like 2013-ish, maybe 10 or 12 years ago, they just kind of stopped. Like I just didn't really have allergy issues that bad anymore. Like I would still get sometimes, but it wasn't nearly as bad as it was when I was younger. And then about 2 or 3 years ago, they started coming back. And I get them pretty bad again. But it's not quite that bad here with the, like, it doesn't look like snow on the ground. Sometimes it does, but it hasn't done that this year. But I went to Montgomery this weekend for a Jeep show, and it was pretty bad up there. I could feel myself had to buy some allergy pills the second day I was there because I was like, I'm not going to make it through a second day of this. So, yeah, that's definitely been bad.
But other than that, I mean, since the last time we talked, I think I ran a couple shows. You
pull no gift goats or black cats or nothing?
Nah, it was a slow week on that instance, but I kind of shot myself in the foot on my show the other day because I did get the pin box, and I did a pin box break.
Oh, okay. The one that you won. Yep.
And I sold my boxes. I think I sold boxes around $20 and some for a little cheaper, but I messed up the way I set the pricing. I set it at the $20 or below is the cheap pricing. So every one of my pin boxes, where the shipping was like $1.25 for a plain white envelope.
So you had to upgrade.
So like it didn't upgrade the shipping, which that's my own fault. I'm not but like I had to come off the hip of what I made around about $28
on shipping.
And I didn't realize it as I was doing it. And I don't know. I just felt like, I didn't realize it as it was happening. And then I was like getting shipping ready, and I was like, oh my God, like I messed up right here. But again, that was a personal mistake. So if you're watching, make sure that you have that setting, or just don't go. But you actually would have to sell them. I would have had to sell them for like 21, not 20. Because if it's 20 on the dot, it still does that. So it has to be above 20 because it says 20 and below.
Oh, so, I've never noticed that before. I always put in the weight.
Well,
and I always put the weight at like 4 to, if it's something that I have to know I'm going to have to put in a padded envelope instead of a PWE, I'll put it at 4 to 7 or whatever that bracket is, because then it defaults to.
Also, so even if you set it up for the $20 and below,
I didn't even know that was a thing. I've never even seen that option.
There's a feature when you go to shipping, you'll see the little tabs, and it's the top tab that says $20 and below is the cheaper, like plain white envelope shipping.
Right.
And if you click that tab on, plus
it goes based on the value of the card, essentially.
Yeah, but when you have that item listed, like, I guess maybe with you, what you're talking about on that item, instead of having it 1 to 3 ounces, I should have put it 4 to 7.
That's right.
And it would have did that on demand. So I guess that's the way to do it on that type of situation.
Yep. Yeah, you got to be
'Cause I
careful
think
with giveaways specifically, because sometimes you set your giveaways up beforehand,
yeah,
right? And so then it thinks you're giving away like a card or something, so it charges you for plain white envelope, but then when you go to ship it, like that, I mess up on giveaways sometimes, but regular items
yeah,
are yeah. If you
yeah.
do the
So
4 to 7, that's like the
okay, 'cause
magic
I need to
number.
do that. I need to set it up for that next time. Okay,
Yeah.
because I think it was like 5 or 6 packages, and there's still one that it was a pin that I sold,
Mm-hmm.
and I did put it in the plain white envelope. Well, not plain white envelope. I put them in these little kind of
Oh yeah,
more
yeah.
carb.
You do that. Yep, you
I
told
put
me
them
about
in
that.
there because it's the same thing, and I feel like it might make it, but it's one that it may not. So if it comes back, I'll
That's interesting.
send it. I'll send it the right way. But when I was on eBay selling when I first started, I was doing the plain white envelope, and I was using bubble mailers
And they didn't care.
for a while,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then eventually
They caught up to
it,
it. Yeah,
it caught up, and I was using bubble mailer with like a piece of cardboard with it.
right. Yeah, I remember
Like,
when you could do that actually, because I used to sell on eBay quite a bit too. Yeah,
so I was getting away with it for a while, and then it started. It
yeah.
started
They're
coming
like,
out of the
wait
box.
just a minute. Yep.
But yeah, that's the thing about Whatnot. You gotta know those little tricks and tips of how to do that. Or
Yeah,
I mean, it was about $28. It's a lesson. I wasted more money at the convenience store on snacks before. So
that's true.
you know,
That's true.
so
Yeah,
but I didn't realize until afterwards, because I always want to set it up for when I do my single show to sell the singles for the shipping to be as cheap as possible,
sure.
because you can put them in those and not have to worry about it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And
that's where I made my
typically, if you do
mistake.
1 to 3, if you end up selling to the same person 2 or 3 cards, it'll automatically bump them up to the 4 to 7 anyway.
Yeah,
So yeah, but
but
anyway,
yeah,
yeah, that's pretty crazy that you messed up a little bit on that, but that's okay. You
no,
still made out good in the end because you only paid like $3 for that case.
yeah, like I think it was like $37
Yeah,
or something like that.
$37. That's crazy,
I mean that's what
and you got
happened. That was
two
karma.
for that.
I got 2 for under 80, I
Yeah,
believe.
like that's crazy.
And so it's yeah. And then I was like, man, I'm gonna try this for the third time. So I bid on again just
Yeah,
to see if I would get lucky and hit 3 cases.
yeah,
And if I would have hit a third one, I probably would have tried it for the fourth one.
sure. What'd you hit on your
Just at
third
that point.
spin?
I think I got a elf sticker,
An
which
elf
I ended
sticker.
up getting, I think, a red one, and then I did get another elf sticker.
Did you get the little one
And
in the corner?
I got the gold of 200.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
Yeah, I hit
I have
the swirly one, the vortex one or
yeah,
whatever.
I think I have all the elf stickers except for like, of course, the 1 of 1 out of 10 out of 25. I got most of them and I don't have the green one. I did have a green one, but I think I sold it in a show one time.
I
So now
gotcha.
I'm like, man, I wish I wouldn't. But honestly, like I like the elf stickers, but I don't know.
Sure.
Like I don't know if
I
I
only
want
have that one,
to.
so I'm not that worried about it.
I'd be more willing to just. I'm probably gonna get at some point, just a big shipment to CGC and grade a bunch of super stickers and
Sure.
cores and just kind of stack that up, because I think of course later on the graded stuff is where you're gonna make or break on that. Now
Yeah.
the Gary B is sent off, so
Oh, you sent it. That's right. Yeah. That's exciting.
I need and I was real nervous sending it because I was like, oh my gosh, like this thing's about to be out of my possession, like
Yeah. That's tough.
it's gonna be in someone else's hands, but I'm gonna check it right now while we're talking because
Uh-oh.
I've been watching it.
Yeah. How long's it been gone? Oh, you tried to
Well,
watch the tracking to see if it got delivered to them.
yeah, I sent it off. So here's the deal: I sent it off, and there was 2 addresses. There's one PO box,
Yeah.
and then there's one like an actual address.
Yeah.
And when I was reading the packaging stuff, it basically said send it to the PO
The PO box. Yep.
So I sent it to the PO box on like Thursday, and it was getting delivered on Saturday. Well, I guess where they were trying to deliver for the PO box was closed, so it got delivered then it got picked up and tried to deliver to somewhere, and it didn't get delivered, so it got sent back. And I'm like, oh my gosh! But now it says it's in Sarasota, Florida, because that's where CGC is.
Yep.
It says preparing for delivery, and it's been saying that for most of the day. So
Gotcha.
It's probably either preparing or it could be out for delivery. They just haven't updated it.
Yeah.
But the fact that I see that like it's something's
At
and
least
and
something's happening.
there's some weather issues going on.
Yeah.
So that could be what's going on, because we got like some storms going on right now. So
yeah, we had some weather today.
Have you ever tried to send off the CGC?
Yeah, I've sent stuff to them before.
It's very easy.
It is. Yeah.
Like I didn't think it would be that easy.
Yeah.
On PSA, when I tried to do it a while back, when I first got into open my business and stuff, like that was filling out that paperwork was really like very tedious. Yeah, you had to be very like say every detail, and it was just overwhelming. So I was like, well, I'd rather just drop it off and let someone else do the paperwork.
Sure.
but
you stick it somewhere.
The CGC was definitely, because it had the drop down box where you find your card.
Yeah.
And
you start typing in what you're looking for, and it's there most of the time. Now you have a 1 of 1, so it wouldn't have been completely there, but at least you have a guideline of how to do it, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it was there.
Oh, the 1 of 1 Gary B was there.
Yeah, it said Emerald out of 1, so it has every card in there.
Okay, interesting. I didn't realize that. I thought it only did it like once it was, once someone had submitted, it was, you know what I mean? That was my assumption, but I guess that makes sense. That I mean, they know what exists. They know the checklist, right? So
yeah, so I think they just updated the checklist and put it in there.
Yeah,
and then,
makes sense.
And then it goes away. Like that probably won't be in there anymore.
Yeah, you couldn't pick that one again, essentially, because there's only 1 of them. Yeah.
Now, did you get the PSA membership for the?
You know I did. I did it today. I had to scrounge up the money for it, essentially. But
because today was the last day.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, I'm working out a deal on the Series 1 Forthright Flamingo CGC 10 that I have. And so I was like, hey, do you want to go ahead and pay for this so I can ship it? Because I was like, I need to get the PSA thing, right? And they responded, but not with, hey, here's the money, you know? And also, Soggy pulled an epic zombie the other night.
Yeah, I saw that.
I reached out to him and I was like, hey, you know I need that zombie, right? Because I sold mine to Dale. So I was like, and I said, you have a Series 1 zombie too, right? And he goes, no, I think I sold it to Dale. And I was like, dang it, that sucker. Dale buys all the zombies. So, but I need the epic back. So I was like, look, like I have the gold falcon pin. You have the epic zombie. Like I'll throw some cash on top. Like get me that zombie. So we'll see what he ends up doing with it or whatever. He said he needed cash. So I was like, all right, the epic or the gold pin plus $100 for the zombie. I think that's fair. The pin's worth, you know, somewhere in the 175 to 200 range probably. And that plus $100 is what an epic is worth. So, you know, I think that's a pretty good deal. It's a fair trade. And the pin box only cost me $25. So
you don't have much.
Actually, it didn't even cost me that. Because I got those on one of the when they were doing one of the sales. I think it only cost me like $17 or something.
And that's kind of how it was.
$15 boxes or something.
That's kind of how I was trading Kowski that alien meteorite pin for that Series 2
for the Series
NFT
2 Jacko. Yeah,
I had $60 into that
right.
box.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So,
but it still doesn't discount from the value of the product, right? What you paid for the box doesn't matter, right? So like, but it does to you because now you have more room. You have more room to work because
you got room to wiggle.
Exactly. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, because I did the PSA because I wasn't going to do it, and then I was like, you know what, kind of got to. Yeah. Like I want that magazine.
I want that issue for sure, right? But also you're going to get 12 issues, which means you're going to get, and all the issues that come out, from what I understand, have that kind of different covers with different rarities, and they're all going to come with something collectible inside of them and stuff like that. So you're not wasting your money, right? Did you use the $25 off coupon?
No, I didn't see that until after the fact.
See, I did.
But I did get the $60 credit for Fanatics.
Yeah, I need to get that. I haven't seen an email come through for that yet. Or is it on your account somewhere?
That I used the other night for that 55 box break.
Okay, cool.
Which was wild because
it took forever.
It took forever. It was like it was after 2:00, I would say.
Right.
It took forever to auction everything off.
I didn't even make it all the way through the auction before I stopped watching.
And I pretty much watched the whole thing, and I fell asleep. I went to bed when it was like 1 something. I was like, I gotta go to bed.
I can't do it anymore.
And I think they had 20 boxes left.
Golly, that's crazy.
And I was like, man, I can't stay up. And like, I know that I think Tyler had just left, and I think the other dude was about to leave, and it was just gonna be Ribs by himself.
Was just chilling by himself. That's funny.
But he was killing it, dude. But I got the true shark, and the rhino, and then
I was gonna ask you if you got a shark.
I got a bunch of cores, which is fine because I'm starting to try to collect those characters. And the reason why I did the shark was because I did get in my first Series 1 break, I did get the Shrewd Shark core Series 1, so I was like, might as well start collecting that character since I have the Series 1 for it.
Right, that's pretty cool.
But yeah, I haven't got any rares or anything of the rhino or the shark yet. So. And I hate sharks. That's what's crazy about it. I hate sharks, but like
I hate you, shark.
It's kind of like that's why I wanted to start collecting, because I hate sharks. It's like, but
that's kind of the idea, right?
I have a love-hate relationship with sharks.
Yeah.
I hate them, and I guess you could say I'm scared of them. I don't get in the ocean because of that. But I am interested of them and just curious about like them in general, because I just I'll watch documentaries about shark and stuff but it's just like, I don't know, it's just something about them, like the sneaky part about them, like you could just be there in the ocean and
they're always your legs bit off. They're always there, dude. There's almost a shark attack. There was a really bad shark attack. I guess it's been a couple years ago now here in town, and the girl's hand got bitten off. I think it bit her hand off and then bit her leg, but her leg didn't get bit off. And she, it was pretty crazy. It was wild. Like some guy just like ran out there and like helped her. You know what I mean? Like just like a random dude. Like, yeah, it was crazy. But
and then like if you get in one of those choppers or thing and like fly around, you look down, you see sharks swimming through everybody.
It's everywhere, dude.
Just especially in your area.
Yeah. So I think it was last summer, that somebody was doing that, like flying by or flying a drone or flying a helicopter or whatever it was, because we have those helicopter rides that fly around all the time, both in Panama City and in Destin, so they're always up there. But dude, I'm telling you, these sharks swimming through the water looked like freaking ants on the ground. There were so many of them, dude. It was crazy. Like they were like, there was a bunch of them. I was like, holy crap.
And they're just swimming through everybody. Like people just chilling and they're just like, I'm like, nah.
When I was younger, we were out surfing one day, and we only had 2 surfboards, and there was 3 of us, and we had a kayak. So like we were taking turns on the surfboards, and one of my buddies was up on the kayak, right? And I'd never really been surfing before. I'd been skateboarder and stuff like that, but I never really was a surfer. And so I'm out there trying to jump up on the board and trying to pop up and all that stuff, trying to figure it all out. And I try to pop up and I fall over, and the board comes and the fin hits me in the arm and cuts my arm open. I didn't even know, but I was bleeding everywhere, right? And so I'm still out there doing stuff. Like I didn't even realize I had hurt myself. I mean, I knew it hurt because the thing hit me, but I didn't realize I had cut myself open. And my buddy that's on the kayak, he's above the water, so he can see what's going on around us a little bit. And he's like, "Hey, there's a shark swimming around. You guys might want to, head back in or whatever." We're like, "All right, cool." So then we get in, and there's like blood running down my arm, and I'm like, "Oh, well, that explains it." That's a good reason why the shark was there.
Did I get bit or did I bite?
Yeah, what happened? Yeah. We lost him. We lost Jolly. We got to get him back. We gotta get him back. We gotta get him back. We gotta get him back. There he is. So.
Here, I gotta change the mode so it doesn't.
All good. Right. What happened? Somebody try to call or something?
Nah, it just cut off, so I don't know if it was on my end or your end or whatever, but it's fine. But
I don't know. We back. You'll have that on those big jobs.
Yeah, and I just, and I don't like snakes either. Like snakes, I can't do snakes. Because I think it's the same thing. It's just sneaky.
They are sneaky very animals. Sneaky. Yeah.
And you could just be sitting there and they one bites you.
You never know.
But again, on both animals, like if someone had a snake, I'm not the one to be like, and run away. Like I still will walk up and like look at it and maybe
right. But I ain't trying to hold it. Yeah.
Like, and now let me tell you this. This is why I think I don't like snakes. So when I was little, I don't think I had that big of a issue with them. But I remember my dad was a hunter, like he's deer hunter. And every once in a while he'd have a big old deer stew. Invite everybody over and, whatever, things you do at a deer stew. And I think I was probably like 4th, 5th grade, maybe at best.
Sure.
And the guy down the street owned I guess it was a boa maybe, but it was a big one. Like it was, I would say it was probably like 6 to 7 foot probably. Now, again, I was a kid, so maybe it wasn't, but it was big enough. And this is why I'm going to say it's 6 foot, because we went and got it and it was like this big around.
Right.
Like, so they went and got it and brought it down, and my dad was like drunk chasing people around with a snake, doing the whole thing. And then we were like, we're going to take it back, because it had a cage that was out back that was like a big thing.
Right.
And so we were walking it, and I had the head part over here on my shoulders. He had the other half of it on his shoulders, and we were carrying it.
That's funny.
And I remember walking, and from my house to where we had to take it was, a quarter, not even a quarter, a third of a mile, like it wasn't too far, maybe a block and a half away. And I remember we were walking, and of course we're walking in the ghetto with a freaking snake in our like, who does that? But all of a sudden you hear, I just felt I felt it tensing up on my shoulders. And of course the head was on my part. So this is why I know I was not scared of snakes back then, because I would have never put the head near me.
Right. No, you ain't doing that.
And then I remember feeling it tense up, and I kind of glanced this way, and its head turned and hissed at me. And I remember going, get this thing off of me.
Yeah, nope.
And I think that was the moment that my fear of snakes really came on.
That's interesting.
And that's the only thing I can think of why I fear them so much.
Yeah.
And they're sneaky, and it's just,
you never know where they are. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, but yes. Are you going to get on the show tonight and get the Wizard shirt?
I just saw it. I'm probably not going to get the shirt. I just saw an email come through about it, though. I think is what it was about anyway.
I wonder how much they'll be for.
If they're not outrageous, I might get one, but I feel like they're just going to be outrageous.
I think,
I'm
going to say $55 is where I'm going.
That sounds right, just given what we know, right? About just the way things work. I feel like $55 is probably not unheard of.
I can't remember the actual V-Friends shirt that says V-Friends that was not the 555 collection.
Yeah.
But just for one with the big red devil and all the characters on it. I don't think that one was $55 when I got it. I think maybe, but I could be wrong. But I know that. But I've never gotten any of the 555 collection.
Yeah.
I didn't get the Driven Dragon. I didn't get the Fairy. And I didn't get the Ninja.
Yeah, I don't have any of them either.
But the Wizard is kind of one of my top 3 characters. So
that might be where you got to go, huh?
I got to get this one.
Gotta do it.
So, but I hope it's not $55. I hope it's more in the 45 range.
Yeah, it's hard for me to pay for shirts, just given what I do. When I go see bands and stuff, I want to buy a shirt and I just I have to talk myself into it, because I'm like,
because
I don't want to buy a shirt.
Because you know how much, you know the cost that they put into it.
Yeah, and I mean I understand how business works too. So like I get it from a business standpoint, but I'm just like it's so hard to justify, you know. So
yeah,
and
I'm probably gonna get one.
Yeah,
just
like I bought some of the character when they first came out with the character collection or whatever it was called.
Yeah,
and I got a zombie. I got 2 zombie T-shirts, different colors, and then I've got a versatile Viking and a competitive clown sweatshirt, and I have a black cat hoodie, black cat hoodie. So I mean, I got those, but they were reasonably priced. Those T-shirts were like $28.
Yeah, those type of shirts are not that bad.
Yeah,
because I got a few shirts myself.
Yeah, so like I can justify that, but the other, even though it's limited and everything, like I don't know, I'm just not a. I own a bunch of T-shirts, but I'm not a T-shirt collector per se, right? Like I just own a bunch because I print them, so I have them.
Because I want to say that they were selling some of the Driven Dragon. They were selling some stuff that they had from the other 555 collections. Like they had a couple ninjas, they had the Driven Dragon, the Turkey, and then the other one, a Fairy. But they were selling for like $38 the other night. But apparently, after that sale that day, they were going to be $90-something now.
Oh my gosh, jeez! I would have probably done that if I would have been around and been paying attention.
So I will say, it sounds like when they're going to sell these things, and I could be wrong. I'm just going off of this. They'll sell these shirts later on. Maybe have another sale for a little bit cheaper than the original price to kind of get some dead stock down. And then from that point forward, when they go retired, they're going to be $90-something.
Right, yeah, that makes sense. As long as if that cycle continues, you know, that makes sense. But yeah, yeah,
I gotta get it with it.
That's funny. So so I went to this car show this weekend, right? Jeep show.
Yeah.
And so like a couple of years ago, it's probably been 3 or 4 years ago, I had this idea that I was going to do these, I was going to do trading cards for show cars, right? And I was like, so we go to the shows, we take some really cool pictures of cars or whatever, and then you put together a packs, this just like anybody else would do, randomized packs, and you sell the packs at shows. Here these are the packs from the show, whatever, right? Or you could pre-sell them essentially, actually, too, and then only print what you sell. And then if you, I don't know, I had some ideas for it, and I never pulled the trigger on it. I even talked to a buddy of mine who's into cars too. I was like, do you want to do the photography part of this? And like, we can make this thing happen. And he was like, yeah, it sounds kind of cool. Like logistically, we'd have to figure it all out. So, we spitballed back and forth about it and everything. But since I've been doing these Jeep shows, since I bought my Jeep last year, I've seen this brand around. It's called Trail Traders, and that's what they do. They do collectible cards for Jeep events. So these are the cards from the event that I was at this weekend. I know I'm not showing them to you because I'm showing them to this camera. But there's just like a base card, and then there's a hollow, like a shiny glossy card, and then there's a hollow card that has like a shine and a image in it. Oh, look, you can see your reflection. And then this was an event that I went to 2 weekends ago, or 2 weekends before this past weekend. So I picked up the ones from that one too because I had them. But they do these for the events, and then they also do Jeeps. So you can send in. The way they do it is a little bit different than the way I wanted to do it. You can send in a picture of your Jeep, and either you can do a picture of the Jeep and you, and then they'll put like your Instagram hashtag or whatever you want to put on there, or whatever, or your Instagram name, whatever you want to put on there. Or you can send a picture of your Jeep and then like a list of some of the mods that you have that are like super cool or whatever, and they'll put that on the card. Or you can just get a big picture of your Jeep on there. And then you buy your cards essentially. So like they sell you 25 cards for $30 or whatever it is. And then you can trade them with the other people at the events. Yeah. So I was like, that's kind of a cool business model too. So they started out as trail traders, and now they've added also cruiser cards. So it's like other types of vehicles, not just Jeeps. Trail traders is strictly Jeeps. But I was like, that's kind of cool. I'm glad somebody actually did the thing that I was talking about doing, because that's pretty neat. So even though they did it a little bit different than the way I wanted to do it, but I thought it was pretty cool. I had to get some because I was like, I'm probably not going to collect all 3 variants from now on.
Yeah.
Even though like you get all 3 of these for $10, they charge you $2 for the base one, and they're like big. Like, have you touched one of the challenge discs? Like opened it up and touched it? They're about that thick though.
Yeah.
Like they're sturdy, right? You can't just bend them in half like you can a regular baseball card. But the shiny ones are, so they're $2, $3, and $5 for the different variants. So I've got all these for $20.
When these people took the pictures, did they take pictures of other people's Jeeps and stuff?
So the picture the card for this is the event I was at this weekend. I'll show it to you up here too, so you can kind of see. This is a picture that was taken at last year's event, and they just used that picture for this year's card, because otherwise you couldn't do it. You have to have a picture already to be able to print the cards.
Is it just that picture that's on that card?
What do you mean? Yeah, this is the only one. And then they have the back on them has their logo. So
there's one picture. There's one picture, but it has different variations.
Yeah, one picture for the event, and then they have the shiny one and the holographic one. I'll try to show them to you up here. So there's just like the core, and then a shiny, and then the holographic has an actual hollow foil look to it. You
just kind of gave me an idea.
Well, we'll talk about that. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I think I told you on the phone that I made like $100 at that event before I even got there, because I thought that the vendor fee was $200, and when I got there, it only ended up being $100. So I was like, well, that's cool. I'm $100 to the good already, essentially.
Yeah.
And then so then we sold some shirts too. It was cool. People are like, this brand. I've done so many brands, bro. Like, I did when I was doing CrossFit back in the day. I did a CrossFit apparel brand and went to CrossFit competitions and sold them. I've done when I was some buddies of mine are hip hop artists. Were one of them still makes music, one of them doesn't. And when I was hanging out with them a lot, we kind of started this clothing company revolving around that kind of stuff, and like their lyrics from their songs and stuff we would put on shirts and stuff like that. I've done brands. I have a brand called Truckstar Industries that I started that is just like about custom truck culture, right? And now I have Washed Clean, which is faith-based off-road and Jeep culture stuff. So this one is I thought this was the most niche of everything, and it definitely is, because it's like specifically marketed to Christian Jeep owners, right? Like people that are willing to wear their faith on their shirt and drive Jeeps. Like that's got to be the least amount of people out of all of those brands, right? Like as far as the demographic that I'm marketing to, and it's been the most successful one so far. Like it's crazy. Wow. One of my pastors at church was like, hey, like I think maybe you should do some stuff that's like not so in your face Jesus, right? And I was like, I know that kind of sounds weird coming from the pastor, but he had good intentions, because he knows what I want to do with the brand is be able to give back a portion of it, right? So he was like, if you have more stuff that other people will buy, then you're going to sell more product and then you can give back more. I was like, that makes sense. So I printed some things that don't really say anything about Christianity on them, about Jesus or whatever. And almost none of that stuff has sold. The only stuff that sells is this. So I was like, okay, like I get it. I see what's going on here. Yeah, I gave it a shot. Tried it. Yep. So I gave it a shot.
And then at that point, you got to put the attention where the attention's at.
Now, people have looked at it, and picked it up and touched it, and like they're like, oh, I like this one. Do you have it in a different color or anything like that? And right now, everything that I've printed is like, I have one colorway, one, like, you know what I mean? I don't have a bunch of different stuff because I just don't have the place to keep all that inventory and things. So like I'll print like 2 smalls, three mediums, 3 larges, 3 extra larges, two
Just to
X's,
have
and a
some
three
on
X.
hand just in case.
Yep. And I'll print like I'll print, this shirt, right? In that. And that's the only thing I have that has that, you know what I mean? So it's not like I have
And
a
you
bunch
could
of
always
different
take
color options.
and you could always also take pre-orders on another color
I could.
option.
Right.
Because someone would be like, hey, I like that, but do you have it in a navy?
Right.
You can
And
be
I'm
like,
and I'm taking
I can,
notes when that happens. People are like, I like that shirt, but it's too light. Right. I did like a natural kind of off-white color shirt. And people are like, I
yeah.
really like that design, but I don't want that shirt color because it's gonna get dirty. You know what I mean? And I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
I get it. So like I'm taking notes on that kind of stuff so that I can just take the same art and implement it onto something else. But I think it's funny though that it's just like, no, like the stuff you're selling is gonna be the stuff that you're supposed to be selling. You know what I mean? Like the stuff that you
Yeah.
started with. Like
Like
it's,
you were trying to like promote something, like you said, not so in your face,
yep.
and it turned out to be the thing that was in your face was the one that
Yeah.
was.
And I was talking to one of the guys that came up to the booth about that. And this group of guys is walking by. They kind of walk up to the booth, and he's wearing a shirt that says like, "I love Jesus, but I have tattoos," or or something like one of those
Yeah,
kind of things.
yeah.
And I was like, "Oh man, you guys look like just my kind of people, or whatever." And so we got to talking, and I was kind of telling him that story about that, and he was like, "No," he's like, "You need to be in your face, like you need it to be in people's faces. Like we don't need closet Christianity." And I was like, yeah. And then I'm like reading through my Bible, and I'm like, oh here's Matthew chapter 5 verse 15, which is you don't light your lamp and hide it under a basket. You know what I mean? To hide it under a bushel. No, I'm gonna let it shine. Like the
Yeah.
the little nursery
So,
rhyme song. And I was like, that's
so
exactly what I was trying to do. Almost was like by doing those other shirts was like hide the fact that we were a Christian brand almost, or give people the option to not buy that. And I was like, no,
yeah.
like that's the wrong approach. It's got to be in your face. It's got to be let the light shine. So I quickly adjusted.
So building off of that and kind of feeding off of what you just said, what did you think about Dalton the other night?
What happened?
No, when he did the read the Bible, like was doing the Bible study on whatnot.
So I didn't get to hear much of it on whatnot. The only part I've heard so far was when I was driving back from Tex. Was it? No, I was driving back from. Either way, I did chime in one night when he was on there, and we talked a little bit. I was coming back from church one night. I don't remember if it was last Tuesday or Wednesday, one of those 2 days. I think it's a great idea. Dalton's always been in your face. Like that's his thing. Like that's his MO is like he's always in your face.
Because I think the way it happened, it was not. I think he had mentioned doing it and going on there and just doing it, and I think he got on the Chrome Bridge and they were like, "Hey, just do it."
Yeah.
And he went live on whatnot, and then they also had it playing through the Chrome Bridge.
Yeah.
And like honestly, I think that's something that needs to become a weekly thing.
Yeah, I think so.
It was it was awesome. It was also amazing how many people in the community that was in it now, that you didn't know that was strong in their faith.
That's right. Yep.
And I think it gave a place where people now could be
we can talk about that.
Yeah. And like people were engaged, like he's very knowledgeable about things.
Yep.
And for me, like I was very active in church with, growing up, I wasn't.
Yeah.
And never really went to church. My parents didn't go to church, but we always believed and stuff like that. And I always believed, but I never really had a home church. And then I didn't really have a home church or become a member of a church until I got married.
Mm.
And then I was, very active in that church with the youth and all that stuff. And then when me and her separated, that's when a lot of things that I thought about church it happened where like people kind of like, in a way, not turned their back, but just didn't talk to me anymore. And like,
they chose,
okay.
Did they choose her over you, or did they not talk to either one of you?
Oh, in the beginning, they went her side without even, and again, I'm not going to say they actually chose sides, but that's the way it looked.
It just kind of looked that way for sure.
Because I literally we went, vacations with people, cookouts with people. I mean, we played sports together, softball, and did
Right.
things together. And then it went from that to nobody even checked on me. The only person that checked on me was my preacher, and me and him kept in touch, and we talked, and we haven't talked regularly, but there when I first got separated, he made me make a pact with him to contact him every single day, and we did, and tell me what my plan is, and just stay in touch and then of course as it got further and further down the line, it was less
Yeah.
and less that he
Sure.
wanted me to actually do it, but he was the only one that really like stuck by my side in that situation. And again, I didn't want people to pick my side over her side or
Right.
anything,
Right.
but like it just hurt my feelings and kind of hurt me because I already growing up had this like assumption about things.
Sure.
And then I get involved and everybody's like, I'm always going to be there and going to this and that. And then like something major happens and
That
no one even
wasn't true.
reached out to
Yeah.
me to even check on me, like even much. And then there was a few times that, I saw some people in public and they walked right by me. Didn't even say hey, didn't even nothing. So like again, I never stressed on it, or I never like. But I mean, no matter who you are, it's gonna tug at you a little bit and kind of rub you the wrong way, and you're like, oh,
Absolutely.
like because it's like I never. Not that you should have a chance to tell your side, because I don't think you should ever just tell your side, because it shouldn't be a I'm gonna say my
There
side, you
aren't
say your
sides
side of it.
essentially. Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
shouldn't be that. Like if you are my friend, we should have a conversation and you can ask me things
Yeah.
instead of and then it's up to you to decide if like I'm being truthful about things, or if you believe me,
Sure.
or you make your decision. But I just felt like no one ever really wanted to do that. Like really, it was more or less like we're doing this side, and I'm not going to say that they actually chose sides, because again, I don't really know, because COVID happened, so I never really went back to church because all
Mm,
the churches shut down. But I do know like a lot of those people stayed friends with her for a while and things like that, and then relationships just kind of went away.
yeah.
So
That's tough.
so so for me, I've always my preacher left that church because it was a Methodist church, so they you move around a lot, and it was his time to move around, so he moved to the beach in Myrtle Beach, so he's not the preacher there anymore, and like he was the first preacher I actually was like friends with, but a
Mm,
relationship with. He was like a couple years older than me, so we were on the same level. He was a Duke fan, so I won't
that
hold that
poor
against him,
guy. Yeah.
but like he he was I built a friendship and relationship with him, so and he was the only one that really kept in touch. But so they got a new preacher now, and like a lot of people left the church because I don't know the reasons. I think, well, I kind of do the Methodist rules and stuff. Some things changed, and
Yeah.
a lot of people say, well, I don't want that, I'm going here and
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know all the details to get into it, but I just know that there's some things that changed, and some people said I'm not going to be a part of this anymore, and they kind of went off and started their own Methodist branch or whatever.
Sure.
But so for me, like I never really went back to church from the separation. I watched online my preacher.
Right. Right.
I would watch him preach at the beach and things like that, and I do know that like you don't have to go to a church to believe. Like
Right.
the
Right.
church is where you
Yeah. Yeah.
you worship for yourself. And so I mean I read the Bible, I read the Bible. I still haven't read it front to back yet, but
It's hard to read
I
just in
read
order like that, though.
yeah, and like so I'll pull my Bible app up and I'll read here and there, and
Yeah.
I haven't done it consistently in a while, but again, but when that happened, like I felt like this was a safer place now. Now not only is Dalton that someone's in the community putting himself out there to do this for
Right.
everybody, that's helping him and helping other people. Now there's people in the community of a community that I'm involved in that share the same interests now, and
Yeah.
and it may not. It's not about sharing the same interests. It's just no one talked about
Well,
it. No one talked
there's
about it.
something to be said for community, right? Like
Yeah,
your church, quote unquote, the word church, is supposed to be your community. It's a gathering of people. It's, but if you can do that inside of what we're doing with VFriends, then that's the same thing, right? Like it
Yeah,
is a community. So, there's something to be said
like,
for what he's doing and what I think is going to happen within the VFriends community. I think there's going to be, like, I could very easily see, Dalton, you, myself, Kowski, Savvy, and a few other people, right? Like doing a weekly Bible study together or something. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
and like
that would
like
be,
and I and because he went on for like his plan was to go on for like 45 minutes to an hour. He went for 2 hours.
yeah, yeah,
And it was and then people were engaged. People were asking questions.
yep.
And then I think on the Chrome Bridge, people came on and asked questions live through the Chrome
They
Bridge,
did for sure
which he
because I was there.
answered.
Yeah, yep,
So, because I think I tagged you a few times in there because I knew you were kind of like busy running around, but I was
yeah,
like, oh, I was like, I need to let
yeah,
him know this is going on.
yeah.
But
You
so,
tagged
yeah,
me
I
on
think
his
that,
Whatnot stream, and somebody else tagged me on his Whatnot stream. But I was at church on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I'm at church
yeah,
until
I want to say,
like
I think it
basically
did
like
happen.
8:30 my time.
Yeah,
But on my way
but I think,
home, whatever night that was, I did pop into the Chrome Bridge and actually chatted with Dalton a little bit. We had a little back and forth,
yeah, I
so
think
it
I
was
heard
fun.
you talking when I popped in late night. I wasn't in long because I was going to bed, but I think that's definitely a good thing. And for just me personally, I was like, man, this is actually like now somewhere, if this is a regular occurrence, that this is somewhere now I could plan like, oh, Tuesday night,
Right.
this time,
That's your church time.
I can
Yeah.
be in church with or Bible study or whatever with people that I'm already wanting to be around anyway,
Right. That's right.
and it just adds different, and you learn, and it's also a thing that you can actually start knowing people even better
Yep.
about,
That's right.
and because now it's not just about VFriends. We're not talking about VFriends at
Right.
all. VFriends is
Right.
not even being talked about. This is
Right.
a totally different subject in life that in some way there may be somebody that's in the community or somebody that's just joining that has nowhere to talk about stuff like
Yep.
this, and this is now a safe place for them to actually come in and talk or and just be involved and hear other people's opinions, experiences, and just listen to somebody read some scripture and explain it, because sometimes that it's not as easy to understand
Yeah.
just reading it. Like you can read it one way, but it can be interpreted
So many different
97,000 other
ways.
ways.
Yeah. I
So
I liked the fact that he was jumping into the book of James too, because I think that that's a an underrated book of the Bible for sure, man. You mentioned the Bible app. If you look up Francis Chan, do you know who Francis Chan is?
I don't
No,
think so.
look him up. Francis Chan did a 5 or 7 part video series on the Book of James. It's really, really good. But it was funny because Corso asked me one day and on Twitter in DMs, he was like, "What's your favorite Bible verse?" And I was like, "I don't think I have a favorite Bible verse necessarily, but like, I think that James gets overlooked a lot and it's underrated." And he goes, "Oh, that's like," he was like, "Oh, my favorite Bible verse is James, whatever, whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, see, like, that's pretty funny." Like, it was just like a cool, quick connection between Corso and I. So,
Yeah.
and then for Dalton to be preaching on the book of James now, because this was months ago with Corso, but like, I was like, okay, like, there's a lot of that connection happening now, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's cool. I love to see that
Uh,
he's doing that.
yeah, I hope it's something that, is becomes a maybe a weekly thing. And because like for me, because the fact that I don't really go to an actual church on Sundays, like I do miss that whole
Yeah.
gathering and stuff. But again, uh, this would be a definitely it will fulfill that, I guess, that feeling, that need, as far as being somewhere like, oh, this is happening at this time,
Yeah. Yeah.
like on Sundays, our church was at 11. We knew that going to church at 11, like
Right. Right.
this would be kind of the same thing. Like, oh, I got church tonight. Well, what do you mean church? Well, I'm on Whatnot. You mean you're buying things? No, I'm not.
No, no, no.
Like
There's no buying
this is the
things.
whole,
It's just,
this is
yeah.
the whole, and it's crazy that like a platform like Whatnot to turn into a Bible study.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, so I think that was definitely cool.
I've been
I meant
kicking
I
around
haven't.
the idea of doing something like that with my Whatnot too. And like, you know, and then he did it, and now I feel like I'd be riding, I'd be like copying, but at the same time, like, it's
I mean, it's
still,
something that I mean, maybe y'all could do
yeah,
something together.
I think that's
Like,
something that will happen in the future. This is a funny thing that happened, and we probably need to close pretty quick and then move into something else. But Sunday, not yesterday, but the last Sunday at church, we had 3 speakers speak 10 minutes each, kind of thing. It was 10 to 15 minutes each, and they're all people from our church. It wasn't like random people, but they're all people that are involved in our youth ministry. So it was our kids minister, like, which is like the elementary grade kids. One of the guys that works with the elementary grade kids, and then one of the youth leaders for Tribe, which is what one of the youth ministers for Tribe, which is what I'm a youth leader for, which is the middle and high schoolers.
yeah.
And our lead pastor came up and kind of introduced them and stuff. And he was like, we don't let just anybody come up here and speak. Like, we guard this stage pretty heavily. Like, you've got to be like, you've got to be ready for it and that kind of thing. And he said, in that vein, like, we have a speaking seminar essentially that we do periodically where we like teach you how to speak better. It's like learning how to speak better essentially, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I should probably look into doing that. And like 2 days later, I think it was last Tuesday, maybe, one of the pastors from church, Pastor Donnie, who I'm pretty close with, he texted me and he was like, hey, would you be interested in doing that speaking course? He's like, I'm going to be leading it. So if you want to do it, like, let me know. And I was like, what's funny? Whenever Pastor Eric was talking about it, I was like, I should do that. And now, so I was like, obviously that's affirmation that I need to do it. So that was pretty cool. And that's how it works, right? Like, I was like, the Lord is definitely moving and doing something with me right now, right? Like, just for me, like, going on and talking to Dalton on the Chrome Bridge is something that I would have never done just a few months ago, right? Like, talking about just being open about that is like, it's tough until you start to do it, right? So, and doing my walking videos that I was doing earlier this year kind of helped me do that and stuff like that. So that was me forcing myself to publicly speak on it, right? So that's pretty cool. But we're at 52 minutes on this episode. This is the longest episode so far.
So I guess what we can do is we can end this one and then start a second one, and we go in and talk about, we pull a trait and talk about a trait.
All right, yeah, that'll be good. That'll be good. Yeah, so we're gonna end episode 3. Yep. Let's do it. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll be back.